What's going on, guys? Back again with another video. Now, the NES Mini was released yesterday, and in North America it's completely sold out everywhere. I was lucky enough to order one of these bad boys from Japan about a month ago, and we're going to take a look at the Famicom Mini. While the NES Mini craze has been hitting the US and Europe, over in Japan, the Famicom Mini was also released today, and like most tech videos that I make, we're going to take a look at the hardware and see what's under the hood, whether it's an FPGA solution or something that's emulation based. For those that may not know, the Famicom is Nintendo's 8-bit system released in Japan in 1983. It was a huge success, revitalizing video games and kickstarting the industry after the video game crash in the early 80s. The Famicom Mini comes loaded with 30 games just like the NES Mini. However, there are some differences in the games that I'll talk about a little later. Opening up the box reveals the system, and wow, it's super tiny. 2 Famicom controllers are hardwired into the console. They are really small and fit in the palm of your hand. It's certainly a cute system. Take a look at the comparison with an NES cartridge and you really get a good idea of the scale of this thing. On the front of the unit there are 2 switches. On the left is the power switch and on the right is the reset switch, which will take you back to the game menu once you're playing a game. On the back of the unit is the HDMI port for video out and a USB mini port which needs 5 volts of power to turn on the Famicom itself. So opening this thing up is really simple. Underneath the unit are 4 rubber pads. Removing those rubber pads reveals the screw holes, which are just small Phillips head screws and easy to remove. I was half expecting some Nintendo Game Bit trickery or something similar, but getting the case off is quite trivial. Inside the case reveals 2 PCBs connected via ribbon cable. The larger board contains the HDMI and USB connectors. The smaller board controls the power and reset functionality. As we remove the metallic plate, reveals the chips on the circuit board. Well, of course, there isn't a 6502 on this thing, but revealed is an all-winner SoC R17 chip, which is a multi-core 32-bit ARM processor with onboard video capable of 1080p at 60 frames per second playback. In other words, this hardware might be even more powerful than a GameCube or a Wii. So now that we have a handle on the hardware, let's power this thing on. This is obviously running emulation. Now I'm not sure what kind of emulator this is, but I think it's some flavor of libretro. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with this. The menu system is simple and easy to use. Each game has 4 save states and navigation is extremely nice. The controllers are very responsive too, which is a plus. I didn't notice any input lag at all. The graphics and sound of the games are super sharp as well. The sound is particularly something to mention because it's always been a sticking point with a lot of bad emulation. Now onto the games. The Japanese version has some minor differences to the USA version. Some may argue that it's not as strong as the lineup, but for me I think it's actually pretty good. You get Atlantis no Nazo, Downhill Street Challenge, Final Fantasy III, Mario Club Golf, River City Ransom, Solomon's Key, Sapari Sumo, and Yira Kung Fu at the expense of Bubble Bobble, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Donkey Kong Jr., Final Fantasy, Kid Icarus, Punch-Out!, Star Tropics, and Tecmo Bowl. Now because the NES Mini and the Famicom Mini are running at 720p, obviously the pixels are upscaled. And to counter this, there are 3 filters that are provided with the hardware. The first one is the CRT filter, which provides scanline emulation and gives that classic 1980s authentic CRT feel. The second one is 4:3, which stretches every single game to a 4:3 aspect ratio. And finally, my favorite is Pixel Perfect. This is basically scaling all the pixels up to a 720p display, but maintaining a pixel perfect aspect ratio. Alright guys, so what did you think of the Famicom Mini? Under the hood there was the all-winner SoC R17 chip, the all-in-one GPU and CPU chip, and I was expecting something similar because of the actual form factor and size of these units. They're very, very tiny, and I had a sneaking suspicion that this was an ARM-based type emulation approach. But that's not to say that's a bad thing. The emulation in this is really, really excellent. So far I haven't uncovered any issues with games that have caused me to be disappointed with the way this thing runs. I will say that the controllers, the Famicom controllers, are quite small in your hand, and there are some games that it does struggle with a little bit. For example, when I was playing Yira Kung Fu, I was having trouble actually jumping my character around the screen. But these issues are few and far between. I would like to have the ability to plug in a bigger controller. Now, having said that, since I've looked at the internals, there's probably an easier way to actually hack a bigger NES style controller or a Famicom controller with the same pinouts and do something similar to what's actually going on. But guys, these are minor criticisms. I really like this unit. It's a great unit. The CRT and the pixel perfect filters look really nice as well. I have a little bit of an issue with the CRT filter. I feel like it's a little bit too aggressive. I felt like that the effect would actually look a lot better if they just kind of brought it back a couple of intensity levels, I guess. But still, you got to give Nintendo credit for releasing something like this. This was a bit of a gamble on their part. There are many, many clone type emulation based systems like this, but Nintendo have hit the jackpot in this one. As you guys know, these aren't available anywhere. They sold out in minutes yesterday in North America. I was able to get one on Target online at 6 in the morning. I was very lucky. I don't have it yet, but it's coming in the next couple of days. So I'm interested to take a look at the internals of that and see if it's exactly the same as what we've got going on here as well. And as always, if you like my channel, leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.